On August 28, 2012, the 6th High-Level Forum of China Economic and Social Development Think Tank was jointly sponsored by the China Economic and Social Development Think Tank Council, the Economic and Social Development Research Center of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, the Chinese Economic Law Research Association and Hebei Agricultural University. Held by the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Li Shenming, Vice President of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Lu Qiaguan, Special Advisor of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Zhang Guangguan, former head of the Organization Department of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, Major General Xiao Jiping, former Vice President of the Logistics Command Academy, Yu Lin, former Editor-in-Chief of Seeking Truth magazine, Jilin Provincial Party Committee, former Deputy Secretary Lin Yanzi, Forum Convener, Dean of the Institute of Marxism of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and Chen Enfu, President of the China Economic Law Research Association, attended the forum and delivered speeches. Also present at the meeting were Wei Zhenghua, Honorary First-Level Professor of Renmin University of China, Zhou Xingken, First-Level Professor of Renmin University of China, Guan Ruzha, Inspector of the Department of Economics and Management of the Ministry of Agriculture, Zhu Yuzi, Dean of the Hunan Academy of Social Sciences, and the Urban Collective of the All China Handicraft Cooperatives. Kang Pailian, Deputy Director of the Department of Economic and Handicraft Industry Guidance, Chen Zhaijun, Vice President of Zhongnan University of Economics and Law, Li Tong, Vice President of Hebei Agricultural University, and other experts and scholars. The theme of this forum is Collective Economic Theory and Policy. More than 150 experts and scholars from national research institutions, universities, government departments, and production lines will focus on the nature, status, role, model and reform of the collective economy to develop and strengthen the collective economy. Economic and other issues, conducted extensive and in-depth discussions. The main viewpoints of this forum are summarized as follows. 1. The importance of developing and strengthening the collective economy. Zhang Panin believes that organizing and adhering to the road of collective economy is the road of scientific development and common prosperity, the road of building a new socialist countryside, the road of strengthening the construction of socialist spiritual civilization, and building a socialist harmonious society. It is a historical necessity to organize and adhere to the road of collective economy. It is necessary to correctly understand the collective economy and actively support the collective economy. As long as the whole party and the whole society put collective economic development in the overall situation of scientific development and harmonious development to plan, the path of collective economy will become wider and wider. Li Shenming believes that socialist collective ownership is an important part of the main body of public ownership, and together with state ownership, constitutes the basis of the socialist economic system and occupies an important position in our country. The essence of ownership of the means of production in the collective economy is that the means of production are in the hands of some working people. This is a sign that workers are the masters of their own affairs and control their own destiny, and it is also the fundamental condition and prerequisite for promoting the development of productive forces and enabling workers to embark on the path of common prosperity. The collective ownership system adapts to the requirements of organizing and developing production and increasing the degree of socialization and modernization of production under the condition of low production socialization and productivity. On the basis of input income from factors, the scattered factors of production are organized into collective factors of production. Large-scale production is carried out, and distribution according to work and distribution according to shares are implemented, so as to realize the protection of individual rights and interests of laborers, and obtain the organization to expand production, the double benefit of increasing the socialization of production. It can overcome the fundamental contradiction of private ownership of the means of production, separation of laborers and capital, laborers falling into the status of part-time workers, and can only obtain an income equal to or usually lower than the value of labor force, while the surplus value is all owned by capital, making laborers truly become the master of your own destiny. The benefits brought by the collective economy to laborers are direct, visible, and tangible, in line with the socialization of production and the level of productivity in our country, and the reality that laborers are at different levels of awareness and have different requirements, and can greatly promote the development of productivity. The economy is the foundation. We dare not encourage and support the development of the rural collective economy in places where conditions are ripe, or even return to the small-scale peasant economy of each family in the past. The political system and socialist core values that the people are the masters of the country will lose their due economic foundation. Our banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics cannot be raised high, and we may go astray. Xiao Jiping, the former vice president of the Logistics Command Academy, pointed out in his speech that the rise of China should vigorously develop the collective economy and intensive economy. Lin Yanzi, former deputy secretary of the Jilin Provincial Party Committee, believes that the collective economy is of great significance to the Chinese Communist Party, and its organizational logic is consistent with the essence of the Chinese Communist Party. In this sense, the collective economy is closer to the essence of the Communist Party than the state-owned economy. Collectivism belongs to the ethics of the Communist Party. At present, the development of the collective economy has constitutional basis, theoretical foundation, and historical experience, and the support of party members with ideals and morals. These three favorable conditions. Wei Xinghua believes that the subject of public ownership includes the collective economy. Household production contracting cannot achieve common prosperity, nor can it realize agricultural modernization. The modernization of socialist agriculture still depends on the collective economy to realize the second leap of socialist agriculture. Chen Enfu emphasized that the collective economy is an important part of my country's basic socialist economic system and one of the basic realization forms of the socialist public ownership economy. The collective economy can embody the principle of mutual prosperity, can widely absorb social scattered funds, ease employment pressure, and increase public accumulation and national taxation. Strengthening collective economic theory and policy research, supporting, encouraging and helping the development of various forms of collective economy in urban and rural areas is of great significance to upholding the basic socialist system and giving full play to the main role of the public sector of the economy. The successful cases of Spain's Mondragon United Company and Japan's Yamaji Shisha have proved the vitality of the collective economy. Juan Ruja, inspector of the Department of Economics and Management of the Ministry of Agriculture, believes that the collective economic organization of rural communities is one of the most important effective forms of realizing socialist public ownership in my country. It carries the basic economic rights and interests of 900 million farmers, promotes the steady development of agriculture, and is a major economy that promotes harmony and stability in the countryside. Social function. Rural community collective economic organization is the foundation of farmers' livelihood, the source of economic income and the foundation of safeguarding rights and interests. Juan Fuling of the All China Federation of Handicraft Industry Cooperatives believes that vigorously developing various forms of collective enterprises and cooperative enterprises is of great significance for adhering to the road of socialism with Chinese characteristics and consolidating my country's basic economic system with public ownership as the main body and the common development of various ownership economies. It is of great significance for accelerating industrialization and urbanization, doing a good job in community services, cultivating a characteristic economy, meeting market demand, expanding foreign exchange earnings through exports, increasing national taxation, providing social employment, achieving common prosperity, maintaining social stability, and realizing economic and social comprehensiveness. Coordination, sustainable development, accelerating the construction of a moderately prosperous society, and building a harmonious socialist society have a very important role. Professor Jian Xinhua of the School of Economics of Wuhan University believes that the new socialist countryside is based on the collective economy, implements cooperative management and family management, and basically realizes agricultural modernization, prosperity, democracy, and civilization in the countryside. The new socialist countryside is a collective economy of village self-government, not an administrative, government-run or government-controlled, collective economy. It is more complete, more advanced, and more able to reflect the nature of socialism, and is more conducive to overcoming the existing land system and contract management system. Insufficient to realize agricultural scale operation, diversified operation, mechanization, industrialization, modernization, resist market risk, operation risk, natural risk, reduce cost, improve efficiency, increase income, and realize common prosperity. Zhou Xingkan believes that as a long-term goal, my country's agriculture must take the road of collectivization, which should not be shaken in any way. We should create the conditions for collectivization at work. We must not allow the polarization of the countryside to develop capitalist farms spontaneously. If we take this path, it will run counter to the direction of socialism in our country. Researchers Zhao Zikodi and Gong Yun of the Academy of Marxism, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences believe that the construction of a new socialist countryside is under the conditions of a socialist market economy, on the basis of adhering to the basic socialist rural economic system, and by exploring new forms of collective economic practice. Realize the socialist modernization of the countryside, and finally realize the common prosperity of farmers and consolidate the alliance of workers and peasants. Developing the collective economy is the inner essence of building a new socialist countryside, and it is also the direction of development of a new socialist countryside in our country. Su Weiwen, a professor at China Agricultural University, believes that the collective economy is an important part of public ownership, plays an important role in realizing common prosperity, and is an important force for coordinated economic and social development. Vigorously developing the collective economy is conducive to the unity of efficiency and fairness, and is an effective and important way to solve employment and maintain social stability. Zhu Yuzi, Professor Li Tong, Vice President of Hebei Agricultural University, Professor Zhao Huifeng of the Business School of Hebei Agricultural University, Professor Wang Jingzhen of Zhejiang Normal University, and Associate Professor Sun Yangmei of the China Economic Reform and Development Research Institute of Renmin University of China agreed that the development and expansion of the village-level collective economy is related to the party's ruling foundation at the grassroots level is related to rural grassroots social management and the operation of rural grassroots organizations. It is the material basis for serving the peasant masses and promoting the common prosperity of farmers, and it is an important guarantee for enhancing the cohesion and combat effectiveness of village-level organizations. Li Saijun, Director of Subin Farm in Heilongjiang Province, Fu Huiting, General Secretary of Xingxi Village, and Lu Junrong, Deputy Director of Liuzhuang Village Committee, agreed that only by developing the collective economy and insisting on the road of collective prosperity can we truly build a new socialist countryside. 2. The main problems to be solved in the development and expansion of the collective economy. 1. Directly define the connotation of collective economy. Chen Enfu believes that according to the capital structure, distribution system, and governance structure, the development models of collective economy and cooperative economy since the reform and opening up can be roughly divided into 4 categories: complete collective economy, complete cooperative economy, transitional form, collective economy and cooperative economy, different combination forms, typical private shareholding system. For the transitional form, whether it belongs to the nature of collective ownership mainly depends on whether the majority of shares is collectively held or privately held, whether the decision-making power for major issues and business operations is decided by a few people or by the majority. The collective ownership economy in the complete or pure sense of economics refers to a form of public ownership in which the means of production are collectively owned by some laborers, and various forms of distribution according to work are implemented in terms of distribution. Its strict economic essence is overall ownership, independent decision-making, joint labor, and distribution according to work. Guan Ruzha believes that the current concept of collective economy is too confusing, some of them are too wide, and everything is included in the collective economy. We should get to the bottom of the matter and realize that unified collective management is a collective economy, and that decentralized family management is also a collective economy. Professor Hu Jun from Renmin University of China believes that the current concept of collective economy needs to be clarified. Collective ownership of land is the most important symbol of the rural collective economy and cannot be shaken. An important criterion for measuring the collective economy is that the decision-making power belongs to the collective. On the premise of adhering to the collective ownership of land, the mode of operation can be explored and various forms of cooperative economy can be developed. Xingxi Village in Heilongjiang Province is a typical form of collective economic practice and represents the direction of rural development. Zhang Xinhua of the China Collective Economy magazine believes that since the new era, due to fundamental changes in the environment of the times, a reformed collective economy has emerged. The outstanding new type of reformed collective economy is a brand new combination with 4 dualities. It is an organic combination of capital and labor double cooperation or 2 unions. It is an organic combination of the duality of original property rights and legal person property rights within the enterprise. Combination. It is a combination of legal person operation, supervision, and professional operators. It is an organic combination of collective asset accumulation and timely and appropriate dividend distribution between partners. Professor Su Weiwen of China Agricultural University believes that the collective economy is an economy that combines the labor union of laborers with the capital union of laborers. The implementation of combination of the 2 unions is the rectification of the name of the collective economy under the new situation of reform. It not only overcomes the disadvantages of indiscriminate sharing and the lack of close connection between the interests of organization members and the development of economic organizations, but also avoids only emphasizing capitalization and most farmers become employed and lose their status as masters. To correctly evaluate the development history of the collective economy. Zhang Quanquan believes that after the founding of the People's Republic of China, the rural areas of China went through mutual aid groups, cooperatives, and until the realization of people's communes. Although they have gone through some detours and suffered some setbacks, agricultural production has made great progress and farmers' living standards have further improved. The organization of Chinese farmers has not only increased the production of grain and cotton, and initially solved the problem of food and clothing, but also effectively avoided polarization and forged ahead on the road to common prosperity. Some people say that being organized impedes the development of productive forces and affects the enthusiasm of the masses for production, etc. This is a wrong view. How to treat the mistakes in agricultural production after the founding of New China is a matter of principle, and the whole cannot be negated by a mistake of working for a short time. Some mistakes belong to problems in the way of thinking and working methods, which were caused by lack of experience, and were not mistakes in Mao Zedong's guidance. Li Shenming believes that it is necessary to objectively evaluate the agricultural collectivization movement in the history of the international communist movement. One is to objectively evaluate the Soviet agricultural collectivization movement. Stalin's overall agricultural collectivization movement is an inevitable historical and strategic choice under specific historical conditions. On the whole, the overall collectivization of agriculture in the Soviet Union achieved the expected goals relatively well, and Stalin made important contributions to the theory of socialist collective economy and the construction of cooperative collective farm ownership system. At the same time, it must be admitted that there are some lessons worth summarizing and drawing lessons from Stalin's socialist ownership concepts and practices. The second is to objectively evaluate my country's agricultural collectivization movement. In the early 1950s, after the completion of the land reform, the party and the state guided the peasants to take the road of cooperatives in order to adapt to the peasants' enthusiasm for socialism and to serve the needs of the country's industrialization. Although the socialist transformation of agriculture has problems such as too urgent requirements and too rough work, through agricultural cooperation, a socialist system has been established in rural China, enabling Chinese farmers to embark on the road of collective prosperity and avoiding the pain of capitalist agricultural development. From 1958 to 1983, the People's Commune system was established in rural China. Although the system has serious deficiencies that suppress the enthusiasm of farmers and has the disadvantages of egalitarianism, the People's Commune system has been in operation for more than 20 years, which has greatly promoted the basic construction of rural farmland in China, provided a large amount of capital accumulation for the country's economic construction, and contributed to China's industrialization. The start of the country created conditions and cultivated the collectivism consciousness of Chinese farmers. It is a huge attempt for Chinese farmers to explore the road of socialist modernization in rural areas under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. My country has avoided polarization in the process of promoting socialist modernization in rural areas, and there have been no slums in cities. In addition, agricultural collectivization also provided a large amount of cheap land resources for the subsequent reform and opening up. In a certain sense, without the successful land reform that year, there would be no subsequent successful reform and opening up. Chen Enfu believes that after the reform and opening up, in order to adapt to the transformation of my country's economic system and the changes in the external environment, my country's collective economy has undergone reforms from the two aspects of liberalizing the management system and exploring the property rights system under the new situation, and has developed rapidly. It presents a diversified development model and becomes an important part of the socialist market economy. Wang Fuling believes that the urban collective economy has made important contributions to my country's economic and social development. First, it laid the foundation for the establishment and consolidation of the socialist economic system in our country. Second, it boosted the development of emerging industries and made positive contributions to the prosperity of the market and the improvement of people's lives. Third, it arranged a large number of labor jobs and promoted social stability and harmony. Fourth, increased fiscal revenue at all levels and foreign exchange earnings from exports. Yao Kongyang of the China Industrial Cooperative Economics Association believes that adhering to the basic economic system of public ownership as the main body and the common development of various forms of ownership is an important part of China's experience. As an important part of public ownership, in the process of exploring the Sinicization and modernization of Marxist theory, and in the process of establishing and improving the market economic system, my country's collective economy has created various forms of public ownership, and innovated the sharing of labor elements and capital elements. The interest mechanism, advocating win-win cooperation, inclusive development, and the reform path and goal of common prosperity have made great contributions to adhering to the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics and enriching the theoretical system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. 3. Face up to the urgency of developing the collective economy. Lu Qiuguang believes that for a long time, all sectors of society have not paid enough attention to Deng Xiaoping's two leaps thought, especially the second leap, research and publicity are not widespread, and implementation is not effective. Deng Xiaoping's two leaps thought on my country's rural reform and development is a conclusion drawn from observing rural reform and agricultural development from a historical perspective, and it has been proved by practice to conform to the law of my country's agricultural development. We must adhere to the idea of two leaps and seize the opportunity to realize the second leap in due course. Now is the time to make the second leap. Chen Ziajun, Vice President of Zhongnan University of Economics and Law, found through investigation that there is a serious lag in the registration of collective land ownership. Farmers have urgent requirements for the legal norms of collective construction land use rights, and the practice has come to the forefront of legislation. Improving the collective construction land use rights is imminent for the development of rural collective economy. The key to the effective realization of rural collective economy lies in the realization of property rights. Zhao Weiquan, senior statistician of the National Bureau of Statistics, believes that the long-term implementation of the household contract responsibility system has great limitations in improving agricultural productivity and realizing agricultural modernization. Developing and perfecting the rural collective economy is not only adhering to the dominant position of public ownership, but also relying on farmers, fighting against the sky, accumulating funds, and the only way to get rid of poverty and become rich. Researcher Zhong Han of Qiaxi magazine believes that a number of good models have emerged in my country's collective economy, but in general, the development is relatively slow, and many conditions have been matured, and the masses urgently demand development, which has not been developed. The collective economy has lagged behind the objective requirements of socialist modernization and the common prosperity of laborers. Therefore, it is necessary to sum up experience, investigate and study the actual situation and objective needs, and steadily promote the development of the collective economy. 4. Respond scientifically to the erroneous trend of thought that derogates the collective economy. Lu Qiuguang believes that currently there are various viewpoints that derogate the collective economy. At present, there are 3 trends of thought that deny the collective economy. 1 is the trend of thought that denies the collective economy in which property is not quantified to individuals. This trend of thought is quite universal, and it is also an important reason why many people dare not develop the collective economy in an open and honest manner and advocate the two leaps theory. For the traditional collective economic model, we need to look at it historically and dialectically. The emergence of this model has a certain historical rationality and has also played a certain positive role in history. At the same time, it should be noted that after the reform, this collective economic model has shown new vitality, and the development of many rural areas has fully proved this point. The second is the ideological trend of land privatization. Some public opinion advocates the real privatization of land on the basis of the current land contract, and return the land collected from farmers in the 1950s to them. Such claims are untenable and harmful. The history of China and foreign countries has repeatedly proved that land privatization cannot make farmers rich, but can only lead to a divide between the rich and the poor. If the land is privatized, it will completely negate the rural collective economy, which is also contrary to the original intention of reform and opening up. The third is the theory of collective economic inefficiency and unclear property rights. This kind of view is the inevitable conclusion of some people who attempt to lead China's reform in the direction of privatization and hype up the untenable false proposition of public economy inefficiency theory. The successful practice of collective economic property rights reform has shattered this trend of thought. In the face of these erroneous views that derogate the collective economy, the theoretical circles should dare to stand on the standpoint of Marxism, justify the name of the collective economy, confidently promote the superiority of the collective economy, and oppose the demonization of the collective economy. In response to the view that the collective economy is inefficient, Zhong Han believes that the collective economy has the advantages of scale benefits, division of labor benefits, social and environmental benefits, and scientific management. Wang Junzhao, an associate professor at the Economic Development Research Center of Wuhan University, used historical positivism and logical positivism to demonstrate the rationality of the collective economy, and concluded that all opinions that the collective economy and other public ownership economies are inefficient are based on incomparability wrong conclusions. Regarding the proposition of land privatization, Jian Xinhua analyzed the reasons for advocating land privatization and the theoretical basis of these views, and pointed out the harmfulness of land privatization. Land privatization not only cannot protect the fundamental interests of farmers, but may lead to new polarization of the rich and the poor in the country, a small number of people profiteering, seriously damage the fundamental interests of farmers. 3. The new concept of collective economy, policy suggestions for developing and expanding the collective economy. The participants agreed that further strengthening the collective economy under the new situation is an objective requirement for upholding and improving the basic economic system in the primary stage of socialism and a need for realizing the common prosperity of the people. At present, the role of my country's collective economy as the common prosperity of the people has not changed, and its status as an important foundation of the socialist state power has not changed. The essence of ownership of the means of production in the collective economy is that the means of production are in the hands of some working people. This is a sign that workers are the masters of their own affairs and control their own destiny, and it is also the fundamental condition and prerequisite for promoting the development of productive forces and enabling workers to embark on the path of common prosperity. Everyone called for attaching great importance to the development of the collective economy, and providing strong support for the development and growth of the collective economy from theories, laws, policies, and public opinion. 1. We must attach great importance to the development of the collective economy. As an important part of my country's socialist basic economic system, the collective economy can better reflect the principle of socialist common prosperity, and can directly absorb social scattered funds more widely. It can be more conducive to relieving employment pressure, and can more effectively increase social accumulation and national taxation. In short, the collective economy plays a very important role in the socialist market economy, and we must vigorously support and promote the reform and development of the collective economy. Attach great importance to the dominant position of the collective economy and the important role of the collective ownership economy in my country's basic economic system. Give full play to the advantages and characteristics of the collective economy, support and promote the reform and development of the collective economy, focus on clarifying property rights, establish a modern enterprise system, and develop various forms of collective economy and cooperative economy. Give full play to the important role of urban and rural collective economies in accelerating agricultural modernization, industrialization, and urbanization, as well as comprehensive, coordinated, and sustainable economic and social development. 2. Strengthen theoretical research on collective economy. Since the reform and opening up, research and discussion on the collective economy has been insufficient. This is not compatible with the rise of various forms of collective economy in urban and rural areas since the reform and opening up, and will be further developed. It is also related to people's lack of understanding of the important position of collective economy and cooperative economy in my country's socialist market economy. Theoretical circles should pay more attention to the research of cooperation and collective economy, and change the dumbbell-shaped state of too big ends and small middle in the past ownership structure research. 3. Strengthen the guidance and supervision of collective economic reform and development. It is recommended that relevant departments draft a document on the development of rural collective economy, the core of which is how to realize Comrade Deng Xiaoping's second leap thought. It is suggested that a collective economic leading group be established nationwide, and the member units are composed of the Organization Department of the Central Committee, the Ministry of Agriculture, the All China Handicraft Industry Cooperative, the All China Supply and Marketing Cooperative and other units. It is recommended that the National Bureau of Statistics and the Ministry of Agriculture investigate the specific situation of villages that adhere to the road of collective economic development across the country. It is recommended that the National Macro Guidance Department take the lead, organize relevant departments and institutions, and draft and formulate the guiding opinions on promoting the reform and development of the collective economy, which provides guidelines for the reform and development of the collective economy, basic principles, definition of property rights, asset disposal, reform forms, and employee placement. Make clear regulations and introduce standardized operating methods to prevent the loss of collective assets and ensure the smooth progress of collective economic reform and development. It is recommended to strengthen the agricultural economic supervision and service institutions, scientifically allocate supervision powers, optimize the establishment of supervision institutions, strengthen the construction of supervision capacity, and include the construction of the grassroots rural supervision system into the scope of the construction project of National Agricultural Public Welfare Service institutions, so as to ensure the macro-control guidance of the state on the operation of rural economy. 4. Improve and strengthen the construction of the legal system to provide legal protection for the reform and development of the collective economy. Continue to emphasize the strengthening of economic laws and regulations and enterprise laws and regulations, and guarantee the development of urban and rural collective economies in accordance with the law. To ensure the implementation of the law on farmers' professional cooperatives, it is necessary to revise and improve the regulations of the People's Republic of China on collectively owned enterprises in urban areas and formulate the law on rural collective economic organizations to clarify the legal person status of collective economic organizations in accordance with the needs of the development of the socialist market economy. 5. Respect the wishes of the masses, actively encourage and support the exploration and development of various forms of collective economy and cooperative economy. The development of the collective economy must abide by the principle of voluntariness of the masses, freedom of entry and exit. The masses cannot be forced to participate, nor can they be forced into groups. We must respect the property rights of the masses, protect the interests of the masses, and do not allow arbitrary possession, transfer, or infringement of the property rights and interests of the masses. Encourage and support the masses to explore various forms of collective economy in light of their actual conditions. The state should publicize, encourage, and support the completely collective economic model that adheres to the road of collective prosperity, and encourage the promotion of this model in areas with suitable conditions, so as to promote the long-term development of the countryside and ultimately achieve the common prosperity of farmers. Collective level management with sub-combination, standardize and guide the development of farmers' professional cooperatives, advocate and develop collective economic associations, encourage professional cooperation and community cooperation to develop vertical alliances on the basis of grassroots horizontal alliances. 6. Learn from foreign successful cases. Some developed countries in the world have successful cases of persisting in the development of collective economy. The Spanish Mondragon United Company is currently the world's largest and typical industrial cooperative enterprise group with the highest overall performance level. It has been praised by many international scholars as the successful model of the world's contemporary cooperatives. The Yamagishi Society of Japan has not only gained a firm foothold in Japan, a developed capitalist country, but also has branches in many parts of the world. Learning from these foreign successful cases will help us develop and strengthen our collective economy.